Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thanks so much for joining us today. We're here to talk about the Stanford CLAS Luksic Visiting Scholars Opportunity. My name's Gabrielle Trasati. I'm the Outreach Coordinator at the Luksic Foundation, and we are joined by some wonderful guests today. Representing Stanford CLAS, we have with us Hector Hoyos, the Director of the Center for Latin American Studies at Stanford University, and Elizabeth Saenz Ackerman, who is the Associate Director of the Center. They're going to be able to talk to you guys about the program, the details, what they're looking for in candidates, and then we will have some time for a Q&A. And do feel free to take advantage of that time. This is certainly a space for you so that we can also resolve or answer any doubts or questions you might have. And then we'll make sure that this is recorded and made available on our YouTube channel after, so you can access the recording. But just to start and kick us off with a bit about the Luksic Foundation, aside from our work in international education, we also design and implement programs in other areas such as early childhood, sports, and education. We're in the VOTech world, in entrepreneurship and conservation, as well as emergency support. But specific to our international education area, this work actually began over 20 years ago, creating these academic opportunities for Chileans to go abroad or either for international experts to come to Chile to give short courses. And since then, we've been able to implement over 30 types of programs in collaboration with over 18 institutions, mainly international, and one of which, of course, is here with us today, Stanford CLAS. And as a result, there have been over 2,200 who we call Luksic scholars who have participated in these programs. And I do just want to mention that this number is not just a figure. These are actual real people that have participated in international opportunities who form part of our Luksic scholars community and have really been able to make change after living these experiences. And so if you ask me now, Gabby, what are the international programs you offer? We, of course, will focus on the research, the fellowship opportunities, but there also is a doctorate in political science that we support. There are full master's scholarships. So as you guys, as academics and researchers, if you know students who would perhaps, or even your research assistants and whatnot, interested in a master's scholarships, you can find them on our website. And then we do also implement, as I mentioned, short courses here in Chile with international experts. And all of those who participate in these programs, we invite them to join the Luksic Scholars community. So here's just a quick snapshot of what our research opportunities look like. You can find more information on our website. And of course, we're going to focus on the Stanford CLAS opportunity, which will allow you to go to Stanford University for 4 months with full financing. So what does this program look like? So far, there have been 9 Luksic scholars who have participated in this program. They come from different academic disciplines, different backgrounds, different research interests and expertise. I was doing a bit of research, on their background. They represent 8 different universities throughout Chile. So from Diego Portales, Universidad de los Andes, Técnica Federico Santa Maria, O'Higgins, and there's, again, a lot of disciplines represented. So anywhere from education to labor economics, electricity markets, nanobiomaterials. So really, we want all academics and researchers from any discipline to feel welcome to apply to this program. What does it cover? Essentially, we want you to be comfortably living there. So round trip travel expenses, emergency healthcare insurance, a living stipend. It is important to note that you essentially receive this stipend, correct, in one full amount, and you can use that according to however you best see fit. So if scholars go with their families, for example, it's still just this one fixed amount, but you can use that amount according to your needs. Applications this year are open until February, for this cycle, I should say, until February 3rd, and Elizabeth and Hector will be able to give a bit more details onto what that looks like. But we're really, again, excited for your all's interest in this program and do encourage you to apply. If you're selected as a Luksic Scholar, we then invite you to join this community. So we have different events, activities, networking. We'll, of course, get you connected with the scholars who've gone through the Stanford CLAS program before. You can hear more of their experience, see what it was like to get housing, and what it was like to be received by the Stanford CLAS team. What is life like there on campus, and what are the facilities and events that you can use and join. We also have an annual post-program fund, so you can apply to up to $5,000. This is an annual fund. We have an external evaluation panel, but that will be available to you should you be selected. And so how does one go about applying? And with here I'll close. It's important to note that from the foundation, we do not participate in the admissions or selection process. This is all through the university. In this case, this would be through Stanford CLAS. So you apply directly to them. We'll go over the application form now and get into more detail, but you don't even have to have previous contact with the foundation to apply, just so that you know that. Thank you again for your interest, and I'll go ahead and hand it over to Hector.
Thank you, Gabrielle. It's good to be here, and I do encourage interested parties to apply and to spread the word. This is a phenomenal program. I'd like to talk about three things, and then I'll pass it over to Elizabeth to discuss administrative aspects and procedures and anything else, Elizabeth, of course, that is on your mind. The three things I'd like to mention are first the big picture. So why do this? Why this undertaking? Why this partnership? The Fundación Luksic is one of our partners at the Center for Latin American Studies. And I know that Stanford is one of the Fundación Luksic partners in the university world. And where we come together is in the interest of producing, better and more relevant scholarship that is embedded in a time and a place, in a region, in a country, in Chile in particular. And so that is really what is front and center in my mind, at least when I have the pleasure of reading applications, is how is this going to contribute to knowledge, to building knowledge in purposeful ways. Then in terms of what we're looking for, that would be the second point. We're looking for quality of proposals, and that is according to the standards of given disciplines. So if you're applying to do something in chemistry, then we would, of course, consult with professors in chemistry, and they would know what is an actionable proposal, something that will contribute to a field of study that is impactful. So there is an expert opinion, and the qualities of a successful application have to do with the standards within a discipline. That is what we're looking for. We're looking for thought-provoking and relevant research proposals in different domains. Now, the third, and I'm going to stop on this one a little longer, is what is the role of the Center for Latin American Studies? So the mandate of the Center for Latin American Studies at Stanford is to be an interdisciplinary hub for all things Latin America related. So even if you, let's say you are a legal scholar and you don't think of yourself as a Latin Americanist, by the fact that you teach at a Chilean university, you kind of are. And it is within our purview to be the ones who liaise the rest of Stanford with you. So why not apply to the law school? Why not apply to business school? Well, law school, business school, chemistry, everyone has many things to do at Stanford, has many areas to cover disciplinarily, and they don't have a special interest in Latin America necessarily. I mean, that's just not how it is. I wish it were, right? But it is not how it is. I think that's a controversial to say. So since we do have an interest in Latin America, we do have a mandate to integrate ourselves as an institution, as a research university in the United States with the region. We are more than happy to liaise. That is part of our mission, of our mandate. So one thing that CLAS would do for you is to be mediators and advocates, okay? Because we want successful applicants, and so we're going to advocate for your proposal and try and find partners in the respective departments that will enrich the intellectual life of the center and your research. Then the second thing that we do is we provide a community, and that's really quite wonderful. And folks who have been here with the Luksic program can tell you that they made friends, they felt welcome, they were part of a conversation. They had a working space at a beautiful 19th century house where we are located on campus. And that's no small thing, because you're here, in and out. It's a very short period of time, so you want to make sure that when you land, you are already integrated, and we're happy to provide that community. Actually, to that point, the other opportunity we provide for Luksic fellows is to present their work for a general audience, so for a non-disciplinary specific audience at the Center for Latin American Studies. So I remember a really formidable lecture by an electrical engineer who wrote about the reliance of Chile in privately owned infrastructures, and gave us, quite a bit of technical details, but she also thought big picture as to the implications of that for the nation and for the region. And we had an interdisciplinary conversation. So there were graphs, there were maps, there was something really quite technical, but it was the kind of high level interdisciplinary conversation that can happen at a place like Stanford. So you would be invited to present in the Friday lecture series. So I'll summarize the three things that I've said so far. The vision is creating more and better knowledge involving Latin America. What we're looking for is quality and rigor within your respective disciplines. And the role of CLAS is twofold: to mediate and to create a community, including giving you one platform to present your work at STEM. And I'll pass it over to Elizabeth Saenza.
Gabriel, do we want to see if they have questions, or they are just posting them before I move to my more logistical?
No, you go ahead, Elizabeth, and attendees can start to put their questions in the Q&A box, and we can get to those accordingly. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Perfect. So first, you see my name twice, probably. That's my colleague, and it's Molly Abdermauer. I invited her, Gabriel. She is our new class, a new role, a class visiting scholars coordinator. So I invited her to join us today. Thank you, Molly. So what I will talk is more about the logistical part. Besides that, what Gabrielle already mentioned, what it covers a round trip. We offer an office space as well. The library resources were immense, and plenty of opportunities to network and to present your research while you're here. And about the selection, I think that's what I'm going to focus on. It's a very rigorous selection. We receive many applications, and we form a committee of Stanford faculty who go through the entire applications, and then they select the top two, their preference, and then we invite them. And if they accept, then we move forward with the facilitating them to come from visa to finding lodging. Yes, and of course, processing their stipend and paying for the trip. I think right now we have many may wonder, when do we send notifications? And they are usually towards the end of March at the latest. We try, so that's when you are invited, and then we expect to within 15 days to get an answer, and then move forward with the appointment. I don't know if we have any questions. I'm not saying anything that is not already in our website. We invite you to visit our website as well. But we're here if you have some specific questions that you don't see in the website, so feel free to ask.
Awesome, Elizabeth. Any chance maybe we could review the application requirements? I know that there's also a lot of questions about English language requirements, and if there's anything specific, like a certain exam that they need to present, or is that simply in their proposal that you understand that there's a certain level of English?
Molly, do you feel prepared to take that on you, or?
Sure. We've included this in the website, but a TOEFL score or equivalent test of 89 or higher. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to go back and double check that. But TOEFL scores, as you know, they expire after 2 years, so it does need to be current. If you are not able to take the TOEFL and you would like to do signed documentation from your academic institution or an English language school, please contact us. There is the possibility of a documented interview conducted by the nominating faculty or department, but please contact us first before you choose that option because there isn't always capacity to do an interview. So if you don't have a TOEFL or aren't able to do the TOEFL, you can do the online-based TOEFL. Please contact us first before you fill out your application.
Perfect. And Molly, we do have a question from Antonia, is if holding a graduate degree from a U.S. institution is sufficient to demonstrate the English proficiency.
Yes. Yeah. Just again, reach out to us first. Mhm.
Perfect. Okay. And then perhaps Elizabeth and Molly, maybe to go over the statement of purpose and sort of understand what you guys are looking for in that. And if we could also touch on the sponsorship.
Yes, of course. So it's a brief statement of purpose, but we want the applicants to explain in detail the reason of the interest of becoming a Luksic visiting scholars and how they see that we are a good fit, that the resources that we have here will, inform their own research. So to elaborate on their line of research and then also identify faculty within Stanford and other resources that they see that will benefit them in their career.
Perfect.
You said you had a second question, right?
Yeah, so we get this a lot because in previous cycles, it was required that fellows receive a sponsorship letter from a faculty at Stanford. That is no longer obligatory. It is optional, and in lieu, someone can submit essentially a list of Stanford academics or faculty staff and with whom they would like to collaborate there on campus, correct?
That is correct.
Find a researcher, find an academic at Stanford.
Exactly. If they are not able to secure it on time, we do encourage everybody to, reach out to faculty that it doesn't have to be a Latin Americanist, but that is doing a similar research, even if it's in a different region of the world. We encourage them to approach them, but sometimes they cannot secure it on time, the sponsorship, in which case we ask them to submit a list of like 3 scholars that they would like to work with, they would like to meet if they are invited to be here.
Let me interject something there about how to secure intellectual partners. I sometimes we have an image of what a colleague does that is anchored in the past. So Professor Frank Fukuyama's most influential article is from 1990. It's the end of history and so on. Everyone knows him by that, but he's working on something very different now. So do your due diligence in terms of maybe read the last couple of papers that a faculty member has published, and that will tell you where their research interests lie, and you can think about how those can dovetail with yours. So you can make a compelling pitch as to, you're going to learn from me, a colleague coming from Chile, I am going to learn from you. That's what we're looking for. So be proactive in doing, again, your due diligence on the state of colleagues' actual research.
Thanks, Hector. And we also have a question from Antonia asking if the 500 word limit for the statement of purpose is strict. I'm getting a nod of yes from Molly. So
Yes, that's the max. You want to be considerate to the reviewers.
Perfect. And we have a question from Marcelo. He's from the School of Anthropology and, I'm gonna have trouble pronouncing it, but at Católica in Chile. He would like to know if there's any kind of support for families in terms of help looking for schools, for example.
We don't. The Bechtel Center also, the Bechtel International Center, it's the one that, receives the visiting scholars here in the university. They may have some resources, and we know anecdotally, and also we encourage actually the applicants or the ones who have been invited to reach out to previous scholars, because they are a wealth of information, much more than us or the Bechtel International Center. And they are very generous on sharing their experience and their advice on that front as well.
Yes, agreed. You guys can access in the previous information session from last year, we had on Ana in Figueroa. She was there, I believe, in terms of studying psychology and education, if I'm not mistaken, Elizabeth and Hector. And she shared her story on that information session that you can access. You can also,
Yes, and Juan Mata was one of the ones who came with the entire family, and he was able to advise our current Luksic. They're also coming with family.
Perfect. Marcelo, I hope that answers your questions, that yes, you would receive some support in that sense for going with your family, and it is for a 4-month period. And then in terms of the dates, Elizabeth, that they can choose in which they start, there are 3 separate dates, correct?
Yes, we do go by quarter. The quarter is only three months, but they have 4 months, so they can arrive a month before or a month later. But if they are coming in the spring quarter, which is from April to June, we should, in the summer there is nothing here. So if they are coming for 4 months, we recommend that they come from March to June, and so forth. But we can discuss it with them, and they can. Molly, if the dates are not there, we can put them in the website for each quarter, when the start and the end goes, so they have an idea. But definitely July and August, we are not, they shouldn't be here. They're not going to be anybody.
That's good to know, just in case. That's also, I think, a tricky or complicated semester for academics in Chile, because it is really during the academic year. So perhaps a different date, and I'm telling Antonia here that there is some flexibility with that. And of course, the Stanford class team will get in touch with you so you guys can accommodate and arrange that date. We also have a question from Ugo, who's asking if the letter of recommendation can be from a Stanford research associate or adjunct professor. Yes.
Absolutely.
I can
yes.
jump in. Oh,
Sure.
I can jump in. So just to clarify, there's a letter of recommendation from your home institution, and then there's also a letter of sponsorship from a Stanford faculty. So the letter of sponsorship from a Stanford faculty, that's something that you would obtain. Just going back, if you remember that Gabrielle said there's either the sponsorship or you can list a few names of people if you don't already know people at Stanford. That sponsorship letter you would get from them and upload into your application. And then the letter of recommendation is somebody from your own institution, and there's a way in the application to send them an email and they upload the letter directly. Please let me know if that didn't answer your question.
Perfect. Yeah, Ugo was referring to the sponsorship. So yeah, that makes sense.
A note on that, this is common knowledge, but it's worth repeating. The most helpful letter of recommendation is granular and descriptive. It's fantastic when a letter says that an applicant is the best person who has ever lived and has lots of accolades, but accolades alone don't really give the kind of information that committees need. So if it's descriptive, if it's granular, if it engages, that's much better than having a high profile letter with lots of accolades. That's worth reiterating. Yeah.
Thanks, Hector. Elizabeth and Molly, I'm not sure if there's anything else to touch on, but we can certainly open the floor for more questions, or if someone would like to raise their hand and open the mic, we can certainly pass that along.
I just want to reiterate that it's very interdisciplinary, so don't think that it's not a good fit or anything like that. It's completely interdisciplinary. You can see it based on our previous or the former Luksic visiting scholars. Thank you.
And so there's still a bit of confusion with the sponsors. The sponsor at Stanford does not need to upload their own sponsorship letter. Coming from Antonio.
Yeah, it's a thanks, Antonia. It's a little bit of a confusing process. If you log in and look at the application itself, it becomes much more clear that you upload all of your documents, and one of those documents is the sponsorship letter. So you would be in contact with the Stanford faculty directly and get a sponsorship letter for them. That's to ensure that you're already working with them and that we know that you've already talked to them. And you upload that yourself.
And in the same way, to follow what Molly just responded, if you don't have the sponsor letter, then you just submit the list of faculty that you want to work with.
Perfect. Hugo has raised his hand, so I'll go ahead and hand over the mic.
Oh yes,
Hi.
thank you very much for the presentation. It's all clear, but I would like to go back to my question about the sponsorship letter, because I have contact twice, both of them, a research associate and an adjunct professor, and both of them told me that they were not faculty members, so they wasn't able to recommendate me. So that's the question, if they are able or not.
So the recommendation letter is provides
Uh,
information, and the information that a letter provides is different depending on who writes it. But yes, they are eligible.
Okay.
What that signals. Okay, so let me put it this way, and I'm gonna be very candid. Let's say you have a letter of recommendation for someone who has been at Stanford for 1 year and who's going to be here on a 2-year contract. Then that signals a measure of support within the institution, and that means that you're part of a conversation. Now, if you have been working with someone for 4 years and that person is an active participant of the center, then that reads to me like that could be a more robust conversation, and it would read to a committee, if you're comparing those letters, that one is more ingrained than the other. I'm being very candid, you see, but I also want to explain the logic behind how those letters are read. It has happened to me in the past in different processes that, someone has a letter from the chair of UNESCO, and they don't get selected. And then they say, why, if we had a letter from the director general of UNESCO? Yeah, the letter was this one paragraph that said that you were amazing. So that's not qualitatively relevant. So it's that trick of thinking, or that criterion truly of thinking of what is qualitatively relevant that matters more so than the affiliation.
Yeah, yes, I'm sorry, I didn't formulate well my question. The question was about the sponsorship that has to be from a faculty member of Stanford. So if they are able to recommendate me an associate researcher and an adjunct professor.
Yes,
I
that is possible, Hugo. You can let them know that they don't have to be part of the academic council. They could be a researcher, they could be a senior lecturer. They can be they have other appointments.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Hugo. Okay. Are there any other questions perhaps in the chat? Do feel free, guys, to use this time as we have the class team here with us and here to answer any doubts or questions regarding the application process, what life is like there, the financial support. Felipe is asking if you could confirm the total amount of the scholarship. Yes, Felipe, I believe also that is on the website.
I believe we don't post that, but it is.
Oh, okay.
But I can tell you the amount. It is per month. it is 5,000 stipend. And then there's another 5,000 for living stipend or living subsidy or however you want to call it. And you will think that $5,000 is a lot, but you don't find a house for less than $5,000 here, an apartment for less than 5,000. So sometimes you even have to get a little bit from your salary, your fellowship, I'm sorry, to complete the monthly rent. Is super expensive. So it's basically $10,000 a month.
Yeah, and we want to make sure, of course, you're there living comfortably, and that does include, you know, your round trip travel expenses as well. You certainly be taken care of, and we actually did an analysis with previous Luksic scholars to understand how they felt the stipend was. And then also, of course, with Stanford CLAS, an analysis on the cost of living there as well. Elizabeth has a question on how long it takes to inform the selected. I believe from around the end of March, you said, Elizabeth, is when applicants are notified. And then Antonia is asking if perhaps we could talk a bit more about the scope of the research goals you expect visiting scholars to have.
Let me take that last question because that's music to my ears. That's the kind of thing where I can contribute. Well, something that's realistic. So something you can achieve in a short period of time. One. Two, something that has a longer term vision. So you're doing something concrete while you're here, but this is leading somewhere else. And potentially you can imagine cultivating relationships going forward into the future. You can imagine bringing Stanford faculty over to Chile. It's organic, you know, it's kind of like part of a research trajectory, of a long research trajectory, understanding what is realistic to achieve in a short period of time.
And just at least on the behalf of the foundation, we don't also expect anyone to be finishing a paper by the time they end the program. We understand these can take years. The idea is that you're able to live this international experience as much as Hector and Elizabeth were saying, is create these long-lasting connections. I know that Carolina Parra, for example, at La Universidad Técnica Federico Santa Maria, has made amazing lifelong connections there and has really internationalized her work and maintains those relationships with Stanford University. So that's really the idea, is that you're able to really cultivate those networks and showcase your work as well there at Stanford University and share with the faculty and staff. And as Hector and Elizabeth have mentioned, you'll have a great office there. You'll be part really of that community. So awesome. Thank you, Antonia. I'm not seeing any other questions. I'll just give a few more seconds in case there is one, as this will be the last official information session we'll do before applications close. You guys will get a copy of a recording of this. We'll make sure to send some email reminders when applications are due, but I would keep in mind that applications run through the summer season right here in Chile. So if you really need those recommendation letters from your home university or research center, just to make sure that someone won't be on vacation in January. Perfect. Well, I think we're good. Awesome. Elizabeth has left the email contact there in case anyone does have any questions. We appreciate how interactive this information session was and appreciate the interest that you guys have. It has happened where I've met scholars face to face after them telling me, Gabby, I was in the information session behind the screen, and we really love that. So we're very excited to see who will be the next Luksic scholar for this upcoming cycle.
Yeah. We look forward to their applications, please. And any questions, you know, feel free to reach out. Molly and I received that. If you email us to class visitors, Molly and or I will reply.
Perfect. Oops, Elizabeth said she couldn't get the email, but we just put it there, Elizabeth, so hopefully you can see it now.
Ah, okay.
Fantastic.
Okay, guys, thank you.
Gracias.
Yeah.
Hasta luego. Buenas tardes.
Take
Chao.
care. Ciao, hasta luego.